days left of school for the rest of the decade. That is fantastic. Oh, that's so good. And Christmas is 1 week from today. That is awesome. I love Christmas. Now, how many of you like to open presents, but it's kind of an awkward moment for you? Like you're not sure what to do. Like, this is the worst. I clearly remember this. Like, for whatever reason, like when I was a kid, you could get underwear that had like superhero or Star Wars stuff on it, and they called it underoos. And for some reason, my grandma thought it was awesome to buy me underwear that were underoos. Say underoos. Underoos. And so, like, my mom was real big on saying, all right, show us what you got. How many of you have to hear that question when you open something? Show us what you got. You guys have to do that too? I kid you not. I open up underwear. I'm in a room with my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, my grandma, my little sister, and I hear from the back corner of the room, what'd you get? And I'm like, Because you don't, as a dude, you don't want to show your underwear to a room full of people. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, maybe that's just a guy thing. Girls, what about you? If you got underwear and someone said, what'd you get? Let's see. Would you be like, right here, I got underwear. No? Oh, it's the worst. How many of you, if you're really honest, Christmas is fun, but it's got a lot of awkward, a little bit of embarrassing, and a little bit of frustrating mixed in the mix. Just be real right now. It's okay. You can be honest. Me too. So to complicate that further, I don't know if any of you have like parents and step-parents and things like that, but my Christmases got more complicated when my mom remarried and I got a stepdad. And it just got more and more complicated. And I'll talk more about my stepdad a little later. But my stepdad would get a little frustrated because we would go and open up presents with some people, and then we would go and open up presents with other people. And my first mistake, and I only did this once, is after opening presents, I looked up and I asked, where is the rest? And some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. Because you know the mama rant or the stepdad rant. You're so ungrateful. I can't believe you would say that. And I think you are so rude. And you're going to have to go apologize to your grandmother right now. Does that sound familiar to anybody else in the room? Okay. Well, see, here's the thing, though. Now, I got to be real. In that moment, it wasn't that I was ungrateful. It's that we lived out of state from my father and all of his family. And I knew that there were like 3 or 4 more boxes of presents that had been delivered in the mail. And I literally thought that on Christmas morning, because we'd gone over to my stepdad's family and was with his mom, it was my new grandma, and we're sitting there, we'd open up all this stuff, but I knew there were more presents. I wasn't meaning to be rude, I was being real. Like when I said, where's the rest? I really meant, where's the rest? But I got in so much trouble because it was a mess. And I got in trouble with my stepdad, and I tried to explain, but he didn't really want to listen to me, and I tried to explain to my mom, and she's already distracted, because you know how moms can get when there's a lot of people around, a lot of food and all that, and you know how that works. And so it was just a mess, y'all. And sometimes Christmas is messy. But here's the thing that I know that you and me are supposed to not go for perfection. We're supposed to just be real and do our best. See, we're aiming for a real Christmas, but sometimes real can be a little messy. Like, I don't know if you've ever been to the website Awkward Family Photos, but there's funny stuff there. Please don't go right now. Like right now, I'd love for you to just be here with me for the next 15 minutes. That'd be really cool. But I found this funny picture on Awkward Family Photos. Can we see that picture? See, that's real Christmas right there. Like little brother there looks like he's posing for a mugshot on the side of a milk carton or a post office wall. And my man holding him's like, why can't you stop? And then little sister on the side is saying, love, really, you gotta believe me, it's love. It's love, right? It's love, right? Christmas is messy. But here's the thing that you and I gotta know. We can only do our best. God is generous with us, even in the mess, and he made us to be generous too. God is generous with us in the mess, and we were made to be generous in the mess too. We were. I promise you that we were. And it goes all the way back to the beginning of everything. See, when I was in middle school, I started to get a little more serious about reading the Bible for myself. And in 2020, I want to encourage you to be more serious about the Bible. Now that you're in middle school, you're not a little kid anymore. And I want to encourage you to get a good Bible that you can read and understand for yourself. And start to maybe even think about bringing it with and follow along with this stuff. In the very beginning of the New Testament that talks the most about Jesus, because that's when he comes, there's 4 books that have guys' names at the beginning of it. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. The 4th of those, which is my favorite book in the Bible, by the way, is this guy named John. And he talks about how when Jesus comes, there's this crazy cool spiritual stuff going on in the background of why Jesus came to earth and what he was accomplishing. The book of Luke is the perspective from a guy who was really smart. He was a doctor, and he did all this research. He has all these details, and that's actually where we get a lot of the details from the Christmas story, because Luke was actually a really good historian. We'll be talking about Luke in just a minute. Mark, that's the shortest book in the New Testament. It's only 13 chapters long, and this is like the details of Jesus' life as an adult, kind of made in a small version. And then Matthew, here's where we get some inside feelings and stuff from a guy who was living right at that time and would have understood some of the inside scoop on what was going on, traveling and getting to know Jesus. But we're going to be focusing on in these 2 books. We're going to start the book of Luke. See, this story was a mess. When a lot of the time when we think about the nativity story, what we do is we think about this. We think about beautiful baby Jesus, sorry, Lord, forgive me right there. I don't know what I was thinking. That's messed up. I said baby Yoda. I got Star Wars on the brain. Lord, please forgive me and please help me to be a better person. That was messed up, y'all. That was messed up. So this is what I love you too. This is what we think about when we think about the Christmas story, right? You got beautiful baby Jesus. You got this glowing Mother Mary who looks like she's about 32 and has really great makeup. And then we have Joseph, who technically is a stepdad. I don't know if you understand that, but we'll talk about that in just a second. But Joseph, who always has strong beard game in every statue you ever see of him. And so we have Joseph, Mary, and Jesus. In some traditions, they call this the Holy Family. That's what they call it. So in the book of Luke, we actually find in Luke chapter 1, verse 26, God sent the angel Gabriel to Nazareth, which was this little city on the outside of Jerusalem. And it was further down and away. These were people who were country folk, by the way. They would have had a clear accent. When they talked, you knew they weren't from the big city. A village in Galilee, which was the big lake that was nearby, to a virgin named Mary. Virgin meaning she had never had a physical relationship with another human being. She was engaged to be married to a man named Joseph, who was a descendant of King David. That's a big deal because God's people had been promised for thousands of years that God would send a Savior to the world through that family tree. That's why it's so important. And so this is what happened. So this lady named Mary, and some historians think that she wasn't any older than 14. How many 8th grade ladies do we have in the room? Do we have any 8th grade ladies here? How would you like to find out in a vision from an angel, I have great news for you, you're pregnant? Now, I can tell you as a dad, that news would hit me in a very different way. If my daughter, who was in middle school at the time, said, hey, Dad, an angel showed up. Okay. He said, I'm pregnant. I say, what? Dad, this is messy. This is messy, okay? And so then it gets messier. He says, you know what? You're going to conceive, which means biologically a baby is going to form inside your body apart from your will. And you're going to give birth to a son. You're going to name him Jesus, and he'll be great, and he'll be called the Son of the Most High God. It says later in the book of Luke chapter 1. Meanwhile, my man with the excellent beard game's got to figure out what he's going to do. In the book of Matthew, it says this. It says Joseph finds out that Mary's pregnant, and Joseph decides that what he's going to do is he has 2 solutions he can do. Legally, he can take her before the city. She can get in a lot of trouble, and he makes sure everybody knows that he's done nothing wrong. He can do that. What he chooses to do is to purpose in his heart to quietly part ways with her, saying, I'm sorry, this isn't what I signed on for. I'm going in a different direction. That's what it says, book of Matthew. But then he gets a visitor as well. While he's sleeping, an angel comes and visits him in a dream and says, you have nothing to worry about. This is a baby that's been formed and destined by God. This is what he's going to be named. This is what he's going to do. This is what he's going to be. And you need to be on board with this. Okay. This is messy. This guy's engaged to this girl. He's got hopes, dreams. He wants to have a family, wants to move forward. This is messy. And then on top of that, we learn later on in Scripture, going back to Luke 2, that there's an order from the government saying that all people need to go to the closest big city and basically register to be counted so that they can get taxed. It's called a census. And so my man Joe has to take Mother Mary, very pregnant. And by the way, pregnant ladies don't walk, they wobble. Okay, I don't know if you've ever noticed that before, but they wobble, but they don't fall down. And this is what happens next. They go ahead and they go into this city. It takes them forever to get there because she's pregnant. She wobbles. She can't walk. She can't run. And they're poor. They don't have a lot of money. According to tradition, she rode on a donkey, which by that meant it would have taken days for her to get to where she was going. They show up late at night. There's no room for them. So this messy Christmas gets messier, where this baby is born and has to be put in a trough that they feed animals with. And then the only people that show up to help are shepherds. And y'all know how shepherds can be. They're clueless and they stink. And they're the only visitors that show up. First Christmas is messy. The first Christmas is hard. And sometimes Christmas can be hard. Money can make Christmas hard. Did you know that? I remember when my sister was in 8th grade. She's a little bit younger than me. Things were really hard in our family. And my sister was annoying. You know how little sisters can be annoying? You know what I'm saying? And some of you are like, preach, Pastor Colby, preach. But my little sister could be annoying. And things were hard in our family. And so I did something really hard. Even though I found my little sister, who was in 8th grade, a little annoying, I took her in my car and we went Christmas shopping. I had a little bit of money from a part-time job that I had, and we went Christmas shopping. We picked out something together for my mom and my dad and my stepdad and his girlfriend. We picked out something. I let her pick out something that could be for me because my parents didn't have a lot that year. I let her pick out something, but well, actually, no, that's not true. I picked out something and I said it was from her and I bought it for myself and it was glorious. But we had a fun time. But I had to get over that awkward part first. I had to take that first step to do something different. And when I did that, things changed. Because see, we were made to be generous, especially with those who are closest to us. But here's the thing that blows me away. See, here's the thing, if you're honest about you and I'm honest with me, we can be generous with strangers. We can be generous in this building, in a church building. We can be generous with somebody who might need $1. We can be generous with people that we don't even know their last name. But when our little sister asks for help because we're annoyed by her, we tell ourselves we don't have to because she deserves it. We can help somebody we don't even know by opening the door when they go into Target or Starbucks and open the door for them as they go through. But when we're with our mom and we're going somewhere else, we're on our phone and in our own world, and we don't notice that our mom is struggling with her purse and her shopping list and her busy mind with what she's doing next. You see the problem? See, you and me, we gotta be generous with who's closest to us, and at Christmas, it's a great time to do that. And now I'm gonna really hit you between the eyes, and I hope you really listen to this. If you're having a hard time being distracting right now, I would love to have your attention for the next 4 minutes, okay? This is a big idea. As I was praying for you, I want you to carry this into your Christmas break. This is a big, big idea. Part of being generous with each other is giving each other what we should give and not what's easy to give. That's real generosity. Real generosity is doing what doesn't come easy, but doing what should come next. That's being generous. That's the kind of movement that makes a difference in someone's life. That's the kind of stuff that helps remind someone that they matter and they're loved. That's the kind of stuff that helps remind someone that you deeply care for them. When you choose to be generous and give someone what they need instead of what comes easy, it's like 1,000 I loves yous through your fingertips and your feet. That's the kind of stuff that stands out and makes a difference. In the book of James, he put it this way. He said, when God was speaking through James, he said that everybody with their riches should not put their trust in their riches, but that they should use their riches to do something for someone else. You might not know this, but if you live in a house and you don't have to share a room with more than 3 people, you are already in the wealthiest 5% of the world. If you have any money in your pocket, in your bedroom, in a coat pocket, or in a couch cushion, you're immediately in the top 3% of the world in wealth. If you came here tonight in a car, you are in the top 2% in the world of wealth. If you go home tonight and you have enough food to have a second meal in your home, you have more wealth in your life than the top 10% on the planet Earth. But it's not just about money. Look at what the last half of what I messed up. It was in Timothy, not James. The second part of it says this, second half of 18 and 19. It's not about just being rich with your stuff. It's being rich with good works and generous to those in need. Being ready to share, and by doing this, storing up treasure as a good foundation for your future and your experience of life. I broke it down. I made it short because I'm not super smart, and when I can make it shorter, it helps me remember it. So this is what I did for us. In 1 Timothy, this is what we're promised. We're promised that God gives us everything we need, that it's right to be generous and good with what God's given us, and that living this way leads to a better life and a better future if we live this way. That's what he promises us, even when it's messy and even when it's hard. And by the way, you do have difficult people in your life. Some of you live with them. It could be a stepbrother or a stepsister that comes in and out. It could be a birth sister or a birth brother that drives you absolutely bananas. It could be your father or a mother. It could be a grandparent that's coming to visit. Grandma can be weird, y'all. But here's what I want to encourage you to do. Be generous even when you don't feel like it. I'm going to end with this story, and then I have 3 little things for you. See, Christmas is kind of a mixed bag for me, and some of you might have heard me talk about this before. On December 19th, when my kids were really, really small, my stepdad, who helped raise me, unexpectedly died. And I'll be real, it's one of the hardest Christmases I've ever had. Because it's so hard to remember that this is like the most wonderful time of the year, like that song we hear in the store, when you don't feel it. Sometimes it's hard to be generous and kind to others when your heart's not in it. But sometimes, and this is a big life hack, one of the differences between being a little kid and being treated more with respect, like someone who's more mature, is you don't make it as much about you is you make it about who's in front of you. And that's what being generous is. That's what I had to figure out that Christmas. I had to remember that there were people that wanted to spend time with me, which is a weird idea. That there were people that wanted to have an experience with me. And that if I kept myself from them, that I hurt their Christmas. And I want to encourage you to be generous with you. How can you be generous with your words, with your actions, with your help? I've got these 3 ideas that I'm hoping you'll take with you. Because what I don't want is I don't want you to be the Grinch, and I don't want you to be Scrooge. So if you have a chance to watch A Christmas Carol at some point during the course of Christmas vacation, I want to encourage you to watch it and think about this. If someone were to describe you, would they describe you as Scrooge at the beginning of the movie or as Scrooge at the end of the movie? Because Scrooge at the beginning isn't generous, looks out for himself, looks to take from other people, He sees people as obstacles to be avoided and looks out just for what he can get out of life. Scrooge at the end of the movie looks to give to people because it's the right thing to do. He gives out of his generosity, his kindness, his money, his time, and his opportunities. Because it's not just about money. It affects your money, but it's about your heart. So here's 3 things. I want you to be generous with your responses to those closest to you. What I mean by being generous to your responses to those closest to you, it means when someone asks you a question, bite back attitude, bite back being snarky, bite back being impatient, bite back interrupting someone or insulting someone. Be generous with your responses. Be generous. Someone asks you a question, you have family that's hanging out with you. Don't give them a one-word answer. What are you looking at on your phone? Nothing. What's that game you play? I don't know. What'd you think of the movie? It was okay, I guess. Be generous with your responses. People want to talk with you. They want to get to know you. They're not bugging you. They love you. They want to hear from you. They want to know what's in your heart. Be generous with your responses. Next one, be generous with your respect to those closest to you. You've heard me say this before. I'm going to remind you of this because you're going to be spending a lot more time with him. If you have a dad or a stepdad, you want things to go well with your relationship with your dad or your stepdad, be respectful. If you want to throw a grenade at your relationship with your dad or stepdad, be disrespectful and do it a lot. That throws multiple grenades at your relationship with your dad. Makes it very hard for him to love and respect you. Okay? So respect those closest to you. Respect means you show value and worth to what they say and what they want for you. It means you listen, you lock eyes. It means you put your phone down and make sure they can see your eyes and you can see theirs. It's respect. What I just gave you was an amazing piece of advice. I promise you, if you're having a hard time getting along with your dad right now or your mom, that piece of advice I just gave you will change your Christmas vacation. And if you're an adult in the house, you say yes. Next one, last one. Be generous with our preparations for those closest to us. Be generous with our preparations for those closest to us. I'm going to give you 2 quick examples of that. Here's the first one. If you know you're having family come to visit you, you have little cousins that are coming over, or you have grandparents that are coming over, start thinking about how that affects you and how you can help. If it means helping extra with your mama in the kitchen, if it means putting away things that you're worried are going to get broken, make preparations. Here's another really obvious one, and this is the last thing I'll tell you before we pray, is I want to encourage you to prepare one thing this Christmas that you've never done before. An honest, encouraging, loving note that you could give one person that you've never done that with. Maybe you have a younger brother or a younger sister that drives you crazy, but they need to hear from you that you actually think they matter and that you care about them. Maybe your family isn't a big I love you huggy family. And maybe you've never done that for your mom or your dad outside of Mother's Day or Father's Day before. Christmas is a great time to do that. Maybe you have an aunt or an uncle that's been going through a really hard time. Maybe they've gone through a divorce, or they've lost their job, or they've lost someone close to them. For no other reason than it's the right thing to do. Take a piece of paper, tell them that you love them, that they matter, that you're so glad you got to see them at Christmas, and you hope that 2020 is better than 2019. You have no idea what that would mean to somebody, and you can do that. It takes 5 minutes of your time. And if you did that, you would be showing people that you're not a little kid anymore, that you're worth being respected and listened to, and you would help change someone's life.